Alrighty, SY Sports back with another college football video. We are on to the ACC, and we are starting off with the Atlantic Division. Now, everyone's picking Clemson or NC State, and I'm kind of on that same boat. When it came down to my numbers, it was a close race, but one came out on top, obviously, and yeah, so I'm going to kind of go over who I think is going to win the ACC Atlantic, and let's get into her. Alrighty, so coming in with the highest over-under is Clemson with 10.5. The over is set at plus 120, and the under is set at minus 150. So Vegas is actually very high on the under this year. Now looking at the schedule, they start off at Georgia Tech. They should win that game, even though it's not at Georgia Tech. It's in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, but still, it's close enough to be in a road game. Yes, they're close to each other, but Georgia Tech's right there. And you got Furman, Louisiana Tech, so I see 3 wins there. Now, you should be able to beat Wake Forest without Sam Hartman. NC State, everyone's kind of picking NC State to win this game, but NC State hasn't won at Clemson in a very long time, and they won last year, and that was their first win in a long time as well, so I don't really see that happening. Now, at Boston College, at Florida State, possible slip-up game in there. Syracuse should win that game. They do get the bye week before going on the road to Notre Dame. But I think Notre Dame's going to get one of the big 3 that they play this year of Ohio State, Clemson, and USC. So maybe it's Clemson. Louisville, I'm very high on Malik Cunningham. Miami, who knows what's going to happen with them, especially by that time of the year. And then South Carolina, I think they're due for a win against Clemson, but I just probably don't see it happening. So that being said, I see best case scenario for Clemson is they run the table at 12-0, and worst case is 8-4, and that's if quarterback play is terrible and that the loss of Brent Venables is actually a big deal. So with the best case being 12-0, worst case being 8-4, I decided to go Clemson 10-2 and 7-1 in the ACC. And if I were to bet the over/under, I would take the over because Clemson's still very talented and Dabo Swinney's still a great coach, and I just think it's more likely that they go 11-1, 12-0 than 10-2 or 9-3. So Clemson 10-2, 7-1. Coming in with the second highest over/under is NC State. The over/under of 8.5. The over is set at minus 180, and the under is set at plus 150. So they're very high on NC State this year. Looking from their schedule ratings, they were rated 25-18, which is 10th in the ACC. Their talent rating is 253, which is 7th in the ACC. And taking a look at their schedule, I think East Carolina is going to be tougher than what people think. I think Texas Tech's going to be a tough game. Charleston, Southern, and UConn easy. At Clemson's tough. Florida State, even though they've been down, it's still probably going to be a close game. At Syracuse, that could be an upset. Get the bye week before Virginia Tech, but I'm kind of high on Virginia Tech because I really like Brent Pry and I really like Grant Wells, their quarterback. Wake Forest, maybe Sam Hartman's back by then. Boston College, they should be pretty good this year with their quarterback, and I like Jeff Hafley as a coach. At Louisville, very high on Malik Cunningham to carry that team, and then you end the season at North Carolina. So they have an up and down schedule. Like their non-con should be 4 wins, but who knows with Texas Tech, and at East Carolina could potentially be an upset just because it's on the road. However, I see best case for this team is 12-0. Worst case is 8-4, and I have NC State going 9-3 and 6-2. So that means that I do have them losing to Clemson. And if I were to bet the over/under of 8.5, I would take the under. 1 for the odds. 2, I just think NC State, if they were going to capitalize, they should have capitalized last year when Clemson was actually down and you beat Clemson last year. But NC State does have a great quarterback. I think the best quarterback in the conference, and there's a lot of veterans on this team coming back. So I wouldn't be shocked if they're right up there again. But I just think they're just going to do what they always do. Plus, Dave Doran is not very good against the ACC. So NC State 9-3, 6-2. Coming in with the third highest over/under is Florida State with an over/under of 7.5, over minus 105, under minus 125. I have a schedule rating of 26-16, which is 6th toughest in the ACC, and their talent rating of 267, which is the 5th most talented team in the ACC. Taking a look at their schedule, LSU, that's a tough game. It's neutral site, but it's in Louisiana. Duquesne, you should be able to win that week 0. At Louisville, it's tough. Boston College, I think they end up winning that game, but who knows? Wake Forest, it just depends on when if Sam Hartman comes back, but I just don't see Sam Hartman coming back till at least week 6 or week 7. Or I know they play like 6 games and then there's a bye, but anyways, at NC State and Clemson back-to-back, those could probably be 2 losses. Georgia Tech off the bye, you should win that one. At Miami, that's brutal. At Syracuse, always a tough place to play, but they're not very good, although they do have a decent quarterback finally, so we'll see. You got Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, and then you have the Florida Gators to end the season. So they do have 2 bye weeks, so that could help them rest and all that this year, but I just think their schedule is a little tougher from what they've been in the past, and with their talent not being as high as you would think for Florida State, I have Florida State going 6-6 and 4-4. So best case was 8-4 and worst case was 4-8. So I settled the difference basically right there. And if I were to take the over/under of 7.5, I would take the under because of Mike Norvell. I don't know if he's going to be any good. He seems to be doing better than Willie Taggart, but Willie Taggart didn't really do anything. So we'll see if he's actually turning this around. Does Jordan Travis actually end up being a decent to good quarterback? And like I said previously, the talent, it's all right, but it's not where Florida State should be. So Florida State 6-6, 4-4 in the ACC. Coming in with the 4th highest over/under is Wake Forest at 7. Over -105, under -125. I don't know if this was affected from Sam Hartman's injury, so I'm really debating Wake Forest's whole season on Sam Hartman returning after the bye week, coming home and playing Boston College. So I see him sitting at least the first 6 weeks. I mean, they might try to throw him in against Clemson, but I just think that'd be dumb. So I think they're going to hold him off till the bye week and come back home against Boston College. So really the first half of the season is going to be kind of tough, and then the second half might be a little better. Taking a look at the schedule, I see best case 10-2, worst case 4-8. Should win the first game. Now with Sam Hartman gone, I think they lose to Vandy. Liberty, it might be a little tougher game now. Clemson, I think they automatically lose. At Florida State, I think it's a loss now. Army could probably be a loss now. But coming off the bye, I think they can. If Sam Hartman does return, I think they'll have a chance, but I'm not 100% on that. At Louisville, at NC State, could probably 2 losses. I mean, the schedule's just kind of brutal. Their schedule rating, somehow my schedule rating only has them at a 22.99. That's probably just because they play VMI, and then Vanderbilt's not very talented, so that probably could be the biggest reason, because I have them as like the easiest schedule in the ACC, but kind of taking a look at it, that doesn't seem right. Maybe I just wrote that wrong. But anyways, their talent rating was 231, which is 11th in the conference. I see best case scenario is 10-2, worst case is 4-8, but with Sam Hartman gone now, I just think Wake Forest is going to go 6-6 and 4-4. And if I were to bet the over/under of 7, I would take the under. I really like Dave Clawson, so that could be a good reason why they hit the over, but I just think losing Sam Hartman is going to be a huge ordeal, and I think they'll be lucky to make a bowl game now. But I'll take them at 6-6 and 4-4 in the ACC. Coming in 5th with the 5th highest over/under is Boston College, who's going to be tied with Louisville at 6.5. The over for Boston College is +100, and the under is -130. I have a schedule rating of 2704, which is 3rd in the ACC, so they have a tough schedule. And then their talent rating is 248, which is 9th in the ACC. Taking a look at their schedule, I saw best case 9-3, worst case 6-6. I think you beat Rutgers. At Virginia Tech, I think it's going to be tough. You should beat Maine. At Florida State, it's going to be tough. I really like Malik Cunningham, so Louisville, I think it's going to be tough. Clemson's always going to be tough. Coming off the bye at Wake Forest, may get Sam Hartman back, so that could be even tougher. At UConn, you should win that. Duke, you should win that. At NC State, at Notre Dame, back-to-back is brutal, and then Syracuse at home. So I think Boston College has a good team and a good quarterback in Phil Dracovic, and Jeff Hafley is a good head coach, but I just think they got kind of screwed with where teams are at on their schedule. So I'm going to go with Boston College, 7-5 and 4-4 in the ACC. And if I were to bet the over/under of 6.5, I would take the over, because I think Phil Jerkovic's a great quarterback. Jeff Hafley's a great coach. And they do have a ton returning other than that offensive line. So if that offensive line can be halfway decent, I think they'll be able to hit that over of 6.5. So Boston College is 7-5, 4-4. Coming in sixth with the sixth highest, or tied for fifth, Boston College was Louisville at 6.5, over under. Over set at -105, under set at -125. Taking a look at their schedule, I have a schedule rating of 25-24, which is the ninth, tied for the ninth toughest. Was it tied? I can't remember. I don't think so. So we're going to say ninth toughest in the ACC. Talent rating, I had them at 224, which is tied for the worst talented team in the ACC. Looking at the schedule, I see best case 11-1 because Malik Cunningham, I think he's going to shine this year. I'm really high on him. But worst case, I see 3-9, where Malik Cunningham probably gets hurt and Scott Satterfield forgets how to coach. So I see at Syracuse, at UCF, Florida State, USF. Those first four games, I think best case personally would be 3-1. I could see a slip up at UCF with it being early in the year on the road because they're very talented for a group of five. And then Florida State maybe, and even maybe at Syracuse because it's week one. So if they come out 3-1, I think they're going to be just fine. At Boston College and at Virginia back-to-back, you could probably split those, but if Malik Cunningham's going to be as good as I think he is, I think you win both. Coming off the bye, you get a bye right before Pitt, so that'll help. Wake Forest, you probably get Sam Hartman back, so that'll be a little tougher. I'm predicting Sam Hartman to be back by then. James Madison, they're new. They were good in the FCS level, but they're new, and they're not going to be able to compete with the big boys, I think, this year. At Clemson, NC State back-to-back, that's tough. And then, obviously, at Kentucky to end the year. And Kentucky's no pushover now, so you got a tough last three games. So, that being said, I have Louisville going 7-5 and 4-4. And if I were to take the over-under of 6.5, I would easily take the over. I like Scott Satterfield. I'm in love with Malik Cunningham. And I just think the sky's the limit for him. So, and like Michael Jordan said, the ceiling is the roof. So, Louisville 7-5, 4-4 in the ACC. Coming in with the lowest over/under of the ACC Atlantic is Syracuse, of an over/under of 4.5. The over set at -110. The under set at -120. Taking a look at their schedule, I have their schedule rating of 27-10, which is the second toughest schedule in the ACC, and I have a talent rating of 228, which is 13th highest which is the 13th, which is, I think it's tied with somebody, but anyways, it's towards the bottom of the ACC talent-wise. Looking at the schedule, I just think there's no talent. I know they got Garrett Schrader, but I just don't know if he's that good of a quarterback to get them to a bowl game. So I saw best case scenario 5-7, worst case 3-9. Just split the difference, said 4-8, 1-7. If I were to bet the over/under, I would just take the under because Dino Babers, other than that one season that they had, he hasn't been good at all. They're not very talented, and Garrett Schrader, it just depends on how good he's going to end up being for Mississippi State. So the order of my ACC standings would be Clemson at 1 at 10-2 and 7-1, NC State at 2 at 9-3 and 6-3. I'm taking Louisville in third at 7-5, 4-4, because I have a bunch of teams tied at 4-4 in the ACC, and I think they beat Florida State. So I see Louisville 7-5, 4-4. So that means fourth, I have Florida State 6-6 and 4-4. In fifth, I have Boston College at 7-5, 4-4. I just think they got screwed with their schedule. And then sixth, I have Wake Forest 6-6, 4-4. I just think losing Sam Hartman's going to kill this whole season. And then coming in last, I have Syracuse at 4-8, 1-7. So that's my ACC Atlantic for the prediction for the 2022 college football season. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'd like to hear everybody else's predictions. Where did I screw up? Where did I do good? I'd like to hear all those things. So please like, follow, share, and subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next one. See ya.